one of the most important aspects of becoming a general contractor as a subcontractor, right? You'll start out as a subcontractor and you'll gain reputation. The best thing you can do is create good relationships with other subcontractors, right? The guys you're working in between, having a good relationship with them, and obviously your general contractor that you're working for, and using those relationships to continue growing relationships. Team building is what you're up to. Once you've established good relationships, you have a team. And becoming a general contractor is just the next level up in calling in on those relationships and saying, hey, let's go build more stuff together. That's the thing I love about being a general contractor is the running of the team. And that's an internal team, right? With my own employees, my own team. My subcontractors are just as much a part of my team. I couldn't do it without them. Treating them well and having good customer service with your teammates is just as important as even more important than having good customer service with your external customer. The next question is when is it time to hire my first employee? And that's a tough one. And I'll tell you where my bent is. I like to hire an employee really quickly. But the dichotomy is I need to maintain my crew culture. Okay. So when my needs start to become overwhelming and I'm not serving my customer, then it follows that I'm going to hire an employee so I can better serve those customers. And I'm blessing an employee. I'm bringing on somebody and I'm saying, hey, come be a part of this with me. It's a scary thing to bring on an employee, but it's a muscle and you can work it, and you will recognize, especially as a Christian builder, that God loves to feed the birds and he feeds me as well. And so when you take on an employee, you're just trusting in the fact of, okay, there's all this abundance that I need to go serve. And here's another person that I can bring on to help do it with me. And it's a collaborative relationship that blesses a customer. And when the customers dry up, as it happens, that's not something that really frustrates me. It's sad. It's hard to have those lean moments. And obviously, I'll try to bear some responsibility and find work to get them busy again. But that's a fear that should not prevent you from hiring an employee. You should serve the needs of the people walking in the door to the maximum effect. So hire early, but don't do it so quickly that you lose that crew culture, that you are unable to kind of keep the relationships tight and bound to one another as a crew. That's just as important. So one of the most important things to maintain that culture is you got to have a common mission, right? Like, what is a culture? If I look at and I just say, well, American culture, this is what it is, right? It can vary, but ultimately in a locale, there's a culture and it is defined and you can describe it. You need to decide what that is for your company. For me, at Forged Construction, we are a Christian builder. We joyfully build for the glory of God. I say it all the time. That's our culture. And that fixes everything. If a person is not willing to build joyfully and for the glory of God, then they just aren't going to fit into our culture. And they need to fit into the culture if we're going to have a good teammate relationship. The people that hire us are eager to partake in that kind of a culture, right? We want these joyful men to come in and build our home and to do so as a part of a broader mission. That's a really important aspect to building a crew. It's one of the most important things for building a elite crew, because that is a bond, that common shared motivation is a really powerful bond that just keeps people going through the hard times. Firing people is just as quick. The challenge is what are your lines? And I've grown in this. I used to try really hard to invest and just give a lot of chances. Like, okay, you screwed up again, I'm going to give you another chance, and just be gracious, right? I'm very gracious by default. But ultimately, if I want to love my crew and I want to love my customer, then my willingness to enable mistake after mistake is also going to need to be somewhat conservative, like held tightly. So you got to have hard lines, right? If somebody's not trustworthy, they're gone. If somebody is unwilling to submit to authority and the job that's required of them, they're gone, right? So you got to have some hard lines, but you also make these really clear when people come on and say, hey, these are the hard lines. Live up to them, and we'd love to have you. So that just creates, they say good fences make good neighbors. We all understand what the expectations are. It's pretty easy to keep everyone happy and in line when you have defined, clear expectations. So there's seasons with any kind of trade, and the communication needs to be made clear. If there are lean times forthcoming, just say, hey, this might be a lean time. And let the crew drive you towards, well, what about these other things that we are competent at, right? Like, so I know one framer who also does painting. It's like, okay, that surprises me. But for him, it's a great hole filler, and they're good at it. So that's not a problem. The goal for everyone is to be a contributor of value. And if we can find other ways to go find value, right? Solve people's problems. During the winter, people still have problems, okay? Let's figure out what they are and what we can solve for them and be competent at. When I, for some reason, might have a gap in my siding schedule, those carpenters have to be good at 2 or 3 other things. And that's easy to do. It's good to be well-rounded as an athlete. It's also good to be well-rounded as a tradesman. You don't have to be only good at one thing. So you should be building your emergency fund from day one. If you look up the Profit First model, and he's got actually a Profit First for contractors. It's a wonderful book. I commend it to you to implement that from day one. The emergencies happen right after day one. It's just part of the feature of doing business, and the emergency fund is a necessary piece of every project. Inefficiency is a necessary consideration of every project. Mistakes, all of them. They're just going to happen. Build yourself a resilient company, not a company that is trying so hard to bless other people that it can't bless people because it fails. When I say bless people, recognize there needs to be an order of loves, right? So you're going to bless your family first. That's your primary goal. Number 2, you're going to bless your employees that you're working around, your teammates. Your internal customer service needs to be top tier. And your external customer service flows from that. If I treat my team well, we can go be really good servants to our customers. But ultimately, if I'm going to have a customer that's going to mistreat my team, well, I need to be willing to say, I think you need to go find somebody else to go do your project, right? You're being willing to do that builds trust at all the levels. It holds people to account for their actions, and it creates relationships that are going to be fruitful. I would strongly advise against going into debt to start. I would really say the amount of mistakes you're going to make at the start are really important to, number one, feel them. Like, when you make a mistake, it needs to have skin scraped off of you, right? You need to skin your knee. But when people go in debt to start, they're not really feeling those scraped knees, and it doesn't hurt enough to like fix the system immediately, quickly. So I would stay out of debt for the first year at least, and then down the road, okay, it's time to buy a truck that can do more or something like that. Those sorts of things can then become a consideration, but you should only go into debt on things that can make you money. Okay, we're not going into debt to pay the rent. We're not going into debt to pay wages. That's old debt. Like, that's not going to show up and make you anything. What you need to be doing is going into debt for things that are going to actually build the product. So that's a really strong piece of advice that I would give people. Feel the bumps along the way. The money that you have is the money you have. How can you make it work? How can you build a system that utilizes what you do have to go make more money? So as far as whether you specialize or generalize at the beginning, I can't really make that determination for you, but I will say I started out very specialized. I was just doing trim carpentry. And that's a good thing, I think, because your reputation can kind of get spread to more people by specializing. Whereas if it's just general, nobody really knows what you are. But if I am Brad Covington doing trim carpentry, this contractor, this contractor, this contractor, and this contractor reached out to me, and that gave me connections, that put me around subcontractors, that created relationships. And then all of those relationships can later on spread into more and more service. But I liked specializing because I want to be good at something and be known for good at something. That's a really important first piece that creates trust. And trust is the greatest commodity you're trying to grow, whether that's in your team or in your customer service base. So these are some of the things that I've learned through the first years of our business, and I really hope that it's been helpful to you. And I'd love to hear more questions down in the comments. Please subscribe and go get some stuff built.